Hey everybody, it's November 28th, and you did read the headline right. The Reichstag is done. Life got in the way, but she is done. Now I'm ready to show it off, give my final review on it. So let's take a look and see what we've done. Now the camera's not on the mount, I am holding it by hand because I got to show different angles and all that good stuff. Alright, so what we did here, or what I did here, rather, got some dust effects going over here and over here. A little bit on the front and the edges, of course on the top as well. So let's go over the dust effects real quick. Now what I used for the dust effects, if you plan to do this, I used a mix of North Africa dust. The primary ingredient was North Africa dust. Mixed it with some light dust pigment by AK Interactive. Then just to make it a little bit darker, use some Vallejo black pigment. This is carbon black, like smoke black. Just mixed it all together. Did a really light dusting. I used, let me see if I could find the brush I used. This is a makeup brush. My wife gave me a whole set of old makeup brushes. This worked really nice. Did it, just kind of tapped it on there in the place I wanted. So, real quick tip. You can use pigment fixer. I actually prefer the pigment fixer because it works a lot better, but excuse me, you can use white spirit, which I've done here just to test it out, instead of using the airbrush thinner, which I found didn't really work as well as I thought. Got this little spray bottle from the dollar store, works just fine. Just put your dust on there, spray it in place, works good, looks good. Alright, so on the top, on the domes, did a little bit dusting on here. This green that you see is nickel oxide by Games Workshop, Citadel, which gave it a nice, really nice patina. I like it. You can see here, here's more dust effects right here. I'm going to use my handy dandy pointer. So yeah, the dust effects right here, put some right here, right here. Probably add a little bit more, but I'm not too sure if I want to. Dust all over the place. I really like it. That's just my preference. Alright, so well, you'll notice this right here, it's higher than this part. Let me flip this around, see if this will make any difference in how it shows. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So you want the open part. This is, remember, this is the rear. So if you're looking at the rear, you want the open domes to your left. Alright, got stuff falling all over the place, and some more dust effects. As you can see, got some in this window right here, right here, right here, right here. Didn't go too crazy on it. Yeah, there we go. Now we'll take this off just to look real quick so you can see above. And I'm telling you, pigment powders work wonders. It really does make a difference. Sets it off quite a bit. I really like it. Especially, and I'll show you on the floors, actually, give a better idea. Oh, you see my mess over there. Alright, so this is the second story. See a little bit there. Blood for the blood god. We'll show you that here in a second. Show you some more. Alright, so you remember there was debris molded into the floor itself. Here, here, here. The dust effects really help bring this out. Really help make it look better. Some blood for the blood god right here. Somebody got shot. Obviously, somebody got shot right there. Headshot right there. This darkening, because remember, this was all primed white. This was just watered down Agrax Earthshade. So you just water it down a little bit to your liking. And just use a wide brush. I actually used one of these large painter brushes. I don't know what it's specifically for. Got it for $1 at Hobby Lobby quite a few years ago. You just, well, basically once you do your mix, just do it all in the same direction. Up or down, left to right, whatever works for you, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Right? You just put that on there. and it looks good. Use the same thing, Agrax Earthshade, for the floors, for the tiles, right here. I know the camera is kind of washing it out, but this does have a very similar look to this. It's a little bit lighter. The Agrax Earthshade didn't take to it quite as well, but it's on there. More blood for the blood god. This was a torture room. As you can see, here's an implement of death right here. Some rebar. Another headshot. Somebody dragged their way in. Another shot over here. Some more dust effects. And like I said, here's another piece of dust effect right here that's actually molded in. Like I said, that pigment powder really sets this off. This, I don't know what's going on over here, but this actually is a little flat piece. I'm not sure why it's flat like that. Same over here. It's actually molded in like that. So again, not a big deal. Another room, and then we're back to the end over here. It's a little bit dirty, so thinking maybe add some mold effects on here. My friend John just came over and mentioned that, because I do have some molding agent, some mold effect, so we can do that. But overall, I'm satisfied. I'm very satisfied. Let's look at the first floor. And again, you're going to see my mess over here. And then we're going to have to look in there. And like I said, I'm going to do the final thing. Now, if you remember in the last video, I did do the checkerboard on here. It looks like some of my dust effects did not work. Did not fully dry. Let me see. Yeah, there you can see right there. So what happened was when I sprayed my matte coat on it, and this was at least 42 hours after I already did the checkerboard, the matte coat just washed it all away. Like literally, except in like one or two spots over here like I showed. But I'll show you more of that later. But yeah, so that's what happened here. Again, my friend John had came over when that happened. He's like, oh, just say, you know, it's smoke effect. It's, you know, somebody power washed the walls and all the soot and everything came down there. Okay, whatever. You know, whatever works. So, yeah. So, again, more blood for the blood god. Somebody dragging their hands. The dust effects, again, a lot of this dust, this is the stuff that's molded in to the floor itself. Same thing with the walls, Agrax Earthshade. Decals. This one, I only put 2 decals in. I was going to do more graffiti, but these 2 are from Dave's Decals. I'll put a link in the description below if you like them. Really great stuff. I have quite a few more sheets coming in. Some stuff I didn't want to put on this building in particular. But yeah. So yeah, more dust effects there. Didn't really go too much with the blood on this one. Only because I didn't want it to. Here we go here. Very dirty, which was the intent. You know, this side, this room actually has a lot more debris molded in. This is all dust effects also. Let's see, I thought I had, yeah, I do have a blood mark over there. Very light dusting in here. One wall that's kind of clean, another wall that's, you can see where it's dirty. And you know what? That's fine. Remember, this is a ruin. This is a ruin, and that was his intent. This blood drag mark, I really like this one. How this one came out. Came out really good. There's a small pool of blood right there. And there's an old checker effect. You can see where how it faded. I must have oversprayed over here for it to wash so much. Oh yeah, and then we have this drag mark over here. Just making their way up to the second story. Their hand just, you know, you can imagine what's going on. Alright, so here's going to be the most difficult part. I got to show you the basement level. And let me try to get the lighting. So the basement, let's see if I can get this. Let's go like that. There we go. So on the basement, it's kind of difficult to paint a lot of detail in here because of, whoops, here we go. Because of how these pieces are molded into there, and with the walls, this is just a personal thing. You might be better at it. If you are, more power to you. But these are kind of difficult to get the brush in to get everything painted up correctly. Is it a big deal? In my opinion, no, because you're going to be looking at this from top down. You're not going to be seeing it from the side as you would the first and second levels of the building. But yeah, a lot of dust, more dusting on this, particularly because it is the basement, and when it get bombed out and got shot and all that, dust is going to fall more so in the basement. Most people don't even pay attention to the basement. So yeah, here's the basement. I didn't know what this was, to be honest with you. It was supposed to be like a broken chandelier or something. So I just made it into a head bashing station, I guess. You know, I don't know what to do with that. These barrels here, got some hex ray flame. They are painted silver, but it's really hard to see. Window frame. A pallet over here. Stuff that fell. Some more rebar over here that fell. So yeah, overall, I'm digging it. Now, you did notice I really didn't do anything on these walls. I didn't feel like there was a need to, because you're really not looking at these anyway from the exterior, nor are you looking at them when you're playing a game. Because more than likely, if you're going to play and somebody's going into the building, you're going to take out those levels, put them on a sideboard to play that out. Am I right? Okay, so final thoughts. I really like this building. This building is awesome. It's great. Now, again, this is going over some of the initial review stuff. This wall right here, and you can see it's beveled out a little bit. I did put a heat gun to it, like I mentioned before in the other video. I guess with the sudden temperature drops, because we had nights, and this was in my garage, so overnight, I guess the resin went back into place, so this came back. It's not as bad as it was before, so this is beveled in. So I would really suggest before painting or anything like that, take your time and heat this up. And you can see right here, see how it's kind of rounded out. Take your time, heat this up, and shape it the way that you need it shaped. Okay, really do that. It's not a big deal, but when it comes to painting, the paint was starting to scrape off in certain places. So if that's something you're worried about, take your time and do that. Doorways, like you can see right here, right here, right here. Pretty much any place that there's a walkway, any place that there's a doorway. There are parts of the mold that are still on there. For me personally, I didn't care too much. Just saying, it's either debris or what is that thing called? I can't remember what it's called. The striker plates on the bottom of your doors. Just saying that's what these are. Not a big deal. It's not hindering terrain or anything like that. It's not a big deal. It really isn't. If you want to clean it up, more power to you. Go for it. I just don't think there's a need to do so. So yeah, let's get this in here, and you'll be able to see, like I said, you see, you gotta push it in. It's not as bad as it used to be. It really isn't. That one slides in very well. Remember, now we're at the front, so you want these domes pointed that way. So that way you don't see the lip as much. So overall, yeah, I really do like this building. I highly recommend it. Now, it is available now from Novus Design Studios. It is $130. In my opinion, it's worth it. This is a beautiful piece of terrain. I've had some people comment, it doesn't look, you're not painting it historically accurate or anything like that. To answer that, this building is a representation of the Reichstag. It is not supposed to be an exact replica of said building. Okay? You can look online and you'll see what the actual Reichstag looks like. It's still standing today. You can see what it looks like. It's very similar in design. It's a great representation, but this is not a historically accurate building, nor is it intended to be. Therefore, my particular paint job is not intended to be historically accurate. No. So yeah, $130, Novus Design Studios. I'm gonna drop the link in the description also. Few minor flaws, nothing that can't be worked around. Like I said, the most flaw was this front end, how it's beveled out. Thought it was the heat. I guess it's in the mold. Something that's easily fixed if you're willing to take the time to do it. If you're not willing to take the time to do it, don't do it. Plain and simple. Painting it was easy. It was actually quite a pleasure to paint this. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, I would recommend it. As far as for 15mm gaming for Flames of War or Team Yankee, I showed in the other video, the bases aren't really going to fit through some of the hallways. Not a big deal. Just get yourself some type of token to represent your squads going through, or your individual miniatures going through. If you're using this for 15mm sci-fi gaming, you know, most of the time, a lot of us, we base our individual models on pennies anyway, and they more or less fit through everything. Some didn't, some did. Not a big deal. That's what the imagination is for. So yeah, there we go. So real quick update, just to kind of get this going. Meghead Studios will have a Instagram and Twitter account coming very soon. We're getting that set up. A lot of pictures have been taken. Some very high quality pictures of the Reichstag have been taken, as well as other models to showcase the various scale of modeling I do, be it from Gundams, Macross, 15mm, sci-fi, Gaslands, terrain, all that. Everything's going to get rolled up in there. Also, somebody asked if I was willing to sell this piece. I'll be honest with you. If you really want this one, because it's already painted and everything, I would think a fair price would be $300 for it. If that's what you want. If you want this one, $300 for it. If you send me one to paint, it's going to be about $120 to paint, especially if you want the checkerboard. If you want the checkerboard, it'd be $150. And I promise it's not going to end up being the way that what happened with this one. Lesson has been learned. But yeah, that's about it. Also, there's something coming up very soon, and the page might be down for about a month. It's more on that maybe tomorrow or in the next video. We'll see what happens. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you picked up one of these Reichstags and you're working on it, I would love to see your interpretation of it. I would love to see your paint schemes. Let me know what you think. Honest opinions are always welcome. That's about it. Y'all have a good, happy weekend. Get ready for the holidays. Time to make those wallets empty. Alright, take it easy.